my kitchen. My name is Jason Champagne. I'm chef owner of Native Chef LLC. And I'd like to first thank the Southern Plains Tribal Health Board for this opportunity to present from my home here in Eudora, Kansas. This video is part of Indigenous Chef Series cooking videos. Today we're going to focus on soups, and we're going to use some indigenous foods included with those, and really two fun and easy ones. Today, this first one here is going to be a Three Sisters soup with bison in it. And first step of the recipe is done. I've got everything in front of me. I went to the grocery store and bought everything. So that step, the most important, is done. Everything's in front of me. From here, it's just a little bit of prep. And you know, sometimes you got to look at those recipes and think to yourself, what do I have to start first so that I can accomplish this recipe, this dish, and I don't have to spend all evening in the kitchen. And that's basically getting some veggies cut up and getting our stock going. So that's the first thing we're going to do. If you don't have access to bison, just use regular ground beef, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. You got to have fun in the kitchen. You got to enjoy it. Sometimes it's a little bit of work, but you got to realize the investment that you're making to your health, your own health, your family's health, and your future of your family's health. So actually, studies show that more money stays in your pocket when you cook more at home. So take that initiative, cook more at home. I really hope you enjoy this video, and I thank you for watching. We'll get started. Okay, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and get some garlic chopped up, and I kind of smashed it using a bottom of a coffee cup to get the skin off, and now I just cross-cut with the chef knife, and we want this finely minced. And then we want to cut up a couple carrots. We want to small dice these, so get them into pieces where you can handle, and then I cross-cut this way, and then stack them, and then this way, and then we'll cross-cut them, just like this. Then we'll cross-cut, we'll small dice some celery. So just take the ends off and then cut through, not all the way to the end, and then cut that tip off, cut it in half, and then here we'll cross-cut. And then our last vegetable cut before we can start our stock is our onion. So we're going to cut up a half an onion here. And all I'm doing is cutting in about 1/8 of an inch, and then I cross-cut this way. Okay, now I've preheated my Dutch oven pan, or if you have a deep stock pan, you can use that. I've added the olive oil. Now I'm going to add the garlic, the onion, carrots, and celery. And what we want to do is we want to sweat these veggies. We want to open the door to the flavor. They'll start releasing their moisture, and it takes about 3 minutes to do that. And then after we're done sweating our veggies, we want to add our black pepper, our dried oregano, and our dried basil, and really stir these into the veggies really well. And then we'll add our bison. And the best chance to break the bison up is when it's raw, so really take time to do it right now. And then once we have the bison cooked through, we'll add our hominy and our beans. And then we'll add our chicken stock. So the reason why we're calling this a Three Sisters stew is because of hominy, corn, and beans corn, beans, and squash are all in this dish. Really good one. And what we want to do now is we want to reduce the heat to low and cover it and let it simmer for about 25 to 30 minutes. And then while our soup is simmering, you got to kind of figure out how to utilize your time correctly. And we're going to cut up our zucchini and our squash now, and we don't want these to be overcooked. So we want to cut these up now while we have time. And then I just stack it this way, cross cut, and then turn it this, and then we'll cross cut this way. And the same thing with the squash, we'll just take the ends off, we'll cut it in half, and then we'll cut down strips. Okay, it's been about 28 minutes, and the soup is nicely simmered. And this is when we want to add our zucchini and squash. We really want to keep these veggies nice and bright colored. So you want to add these literally right before you serve it. And we just want to kind of heat it through. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And we just want to cook this for about a minute, just until these veggies heat through. They'll have a nice bright color to them, and they'll have a nice bite left to them. Then we'll use some fresh parsley right at the end to add another color, make it eye appealing when you bring it to the dinner table. Okay, this next recipe we're going to do is a creamy chicken and wild rice soup. And first step of the recipe's done. I went shopping. I've got everything I need for the recipe. That's number one. Number two is getting those veggies cut up so that we can start our soup, because usually a soup has to simmer. So we'll start with prepping some of those veggies. First off, we'll start mincing some garlic. And then we'll mince a couple carrots. And then we'll small cut some celery. And then we will small dice a bell pepper, and I just tear out that middle, start tearing out this middle stuff, knock out the seeds. I'll take that tip off right there, take that tip off, cut a little bit out of the middle, and then I'll cut it in half here, cross cut. And then we'll finally dice a half a onion here. Okay, I preheated my pan here, either a deep saucepan or a Dutch oven like I have. So I've added the oil, and I'm going to add a little bit of garlic here. Okay. And I'm going to add my bell pepper, carrot, celery, and onion. And we want to cook this for about 3 minutes. And we're sweating the veggies again. So sweating means we're opening the door to the flavor. And whenever we're sweating veggies like this, if you don't see a little bit of liquid at the bottom from the veggies, you're cooking them on a too high of a temperature. What we want to do is get that flavor out and not evaporate it. So once these are sweated, we'll add some dried oregano, dried basil, black pepper. Really stir this into the veggies, really, really good. And then once stirred well, add our butter and melt the butter. And then once the butter gets melted, then we're going to make a roux with flour. So add the flour and really incorporate this into the veggies and butter and cook for about 2 minutes stirring it. And then we want to add our chicken stock, water, and our wild rice, and we want to bring this to a boil. And then once at a full boil here, we'll turn it down to low and we'll just simmer it uncovered for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, and basically until the wild rice is cooked. And you want to stir this once in a while. And then this is optional. I like mushrooms in mine, but I like to use baby portobello mushrooms, and sometimes they got this inner black part that you want to scrape out. That'll really make your soups look really, have dark pieces all over in them, so you want to take some time to scrape those out. And then again, anytime you're handling mushrooms, don't wash them. Just if there's some dirt on them, wipe them off. They act like sponges and they'll absorb any liquid that you wash or the water that you wash them with, so just rub them down really good. And then we'll just chop these up any size you want. I like mine a little bit smaller pieces, similar size to the carrot, celery, and bell pepper. And then what's nice about this soup is it's a great way to use up leftover product, and you know, we're always looking for ways to use leftover chicken from the night before, and this is a perfect recipe for it. If you don't want chicken in it, that's fine. I'm just going to small dice this. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes, and you really want to stir this, scrape the bottom once in a while, because you don't want that to collect and scorch on the bottom. That's mainly if the recipe will say stir occasionally, make sure you get the bottom. And basically it's really thick now. That wild rice has soaked up a lot of that extra water that we put in there. And if you like your rice a little bit chewy, that's where we're at right now. If you like it where you don't even be able to bite into it, it's so soft, let it go for another 10 minutes. It's really creamy right now. If you're a vegetarian, or if you don't want any chicken in there, you don't have to put that in. You could also use vegetable stock for this recipe. And also, if you're on a very, very low calorie, limited fat diet, then you can exclude the heavy cream. Okay, but for now, I'm going to put the cream in there. Okay, that's what's going to make it this nice white color. And I'll put the diced cooked chicken in here and the mushrooms. And I just want to cook this for about a minute or two, just a couple minutes, just to cook through the chicken, get that heated up. And then just right before plating, we'll add a little bit of sea salt. And make sure you taste it before you added that. It's hard for some people, like it a little less, and some people like a little bit more. So taste it, see if you need it. And now we're ready for plating. And then we'll just put some of that really bright, fresh parsley right on top, right before service. Well, that does it for these two recipes, and I had a great time today. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it, and a few pointers on this. Again, we talked about how we don't need that cream. If you don't want the cream, it was creamy without it. Okay, that just makes it bright white. If you ever seen those soups at, like, let's say, like the casino buffet sometimes has those cream of wild rice soup. Bison, if you don't have bison, just use regular hamburger. Try to use lean. If you use 80%, try to get a little bit of that fat out of there. If you look at both of these recipes, you'll notice that they're pretty much the same up until a certain time, a certain part of the recipe. And what we're doing is we're developing that broth flavor. That's what people taste with soups. So once you get to that point, add anything you want. Turkey would be great. Any vegetables that you like. Take that tip of adding those veggies right at the end. Make some nice and bright color. A lot of people will just cook the heck out of those, and they become this really off-color, mushy vegetable, and it's not very appetizing. They're there, they taste okay, but they're not very eye-appealing. So use that tip. Let the veggies thaw. Add them right before you're going to serve. Just make sure they're heated through. Always add that sodium right before you're gonna serve it. If you're gonna add sodium, don't do it until right before you're gonna serve. That way, that sodium that flavor is on it. The taste buds of people when they taste it, it's fresh. It's right there. If you add it too early, what happens is the flavor will cook out, and then people will taste it and say, "I need a little bit more salt." So, but that sodium content didn't cook out; it stayed the same. I have a great time in the kitchen. I hope you guys, if you're looking to start cooking again, understand those principles. The way I like to look at it is we do our chores before we have fun, right? That's the same thing with cooking. It was a little bit of a chore of the shopping and the cutting and all that stuff, but you know what? Once all that cutting and all that stuff got done, it's a blast to cook. Take time to learn, take time to watch these videos and other videos. And again, I'd just like to thank the Southern Plains Tribal Health Board for this opportunity to present from my home. I have a great time doing these videos. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Thank you so much, and take care. Miigwech.